guys, I'm Angie Designs and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Yeah, I'm sure you'll notice at the beginning of all of my videos, I introduce myself. I say, hello, I'm Angie Designs. And Angie Designs is not my actual name, pretty obviously that it isn't. It's based on my name, which is Annie, but it is a cosplay alias that I use online. Cosplayers often use this as a way to keep themselves safe, first off, because they're not using their full names out in public. It's a way of helping others identify them, and it's a way of making themselves a little bit more memorable. So it's an alias that they use when they're cosplaying. So today I'm going to give you some tips on how you can create your own cosplay name. Ideally, you want something catchy, memorable, unique, but also something that represents you. You don't want it to just be something that just sounds good and just kind of doesn't have any meaning to it. You kind of want it to be personal because, of course, it's a name that you're going to be going under. You also don't want your cosplay name to sound very similar to someone else's. That's one reason that cosplay names are a thing to begin with, because if we all just use our first name or our middle name or something like that, we'd have a lot of overlap on cosplayers' names very quickly. So here are some tips on coming up with your own cosplay name. Keep in mind that all of these different methods of coming up with a name can be combined together, so you don't have to just pick one and you can kind of just do your own thing with it as well. Method number one is to use puns. I personally love puns. Puns are some of my favorite things. Puns are a form of wordplay and can be really clever and really catchy and end up being really memorable. And you can also personalize them a whole lot. Maybe make it a pun of your name, which is where mine kind of works, or make it a pun of something you like, a pun of the kind of cosplays you do or want to do. The sky's the limit and there's a lot you can do with puns. A good example would be my friend Solette Cosplay, whose name is Colette, so she put Soul and Et and made a pun of her actual name. Or my friend May Gwyn Cosplay, her name is Meg or Megan, and she likes penguins, May Gwyn. Pretty clever and really unique names. Method number two is to use things that you like in your name. Maybe it's your favorite color, favorite animal, favorite fruit, maybe it's your favorite material that you work with, as long as it's not copyrighted, of course. Maybe it's just something that you really like that you would like to represent you. A lot of people like to use this method and can come up with some really clever names. It's also really fun to mix around with the pun method, of course, because there's so many different favorites that you can mix with a pun. And it can be really, really fun to try to come up with and mixing those two together. Method number three is to use your real name, but in an artistic way. Now, some people are born and given very, very unique names. So other people will take their first name or a nickname that they've been given and roll with that. My name, for example, Annie Chi, is actually my first name combined with a little bit of my last name. A lot of people assume that it's Annie and then just the Chi sound because it sounds cute and it's often used in Japanese media, but that was where the kind of pun thing comes in. I knew that that was a sound often used in Japanese media, and I knew that it was usually like a cutesy sound, but it's also the last few letters of my last name. The original cosplay name was actually Mi-Ri-Chi. My first, middle, and last name all end with an IE, and it kind of made a fun sound. But then I shortened it down to Annie Chi because I thought that represented me a lot better. I really like having it that way. Of course, when you use your real name, I would recommend being careful if you decide to put your last name into it as well. And that is just simply for safety purposes and stuff like that. It can also be really fun to add a title to your first name, for example, like Sir, whatever you want to use, Madame, or Princess, or anything like that. It can be really fun to add these different titles to your name. Fun method number four, use a random name generator for a fandom that you like. Now, if you look online, there are random name generators for all sorts of different fandoms, etc. I often use them for Dungeons & Dragons NPCs, Legend of Zelda ones, there's anime ones, Sailor Moon ones, like any fandom you like, there is a random name generator for it. So if you like that fandom but don't want to use like a character's name, see if you can come up with something that sounds like it belongs to their universe or their world. Not only can this end up being really unique and can kind of mean a lot to you because it feels like it's your persona in your favorite world, but you're also avoiding any potential copyright issues in case you become a bigger cosplayer or a bigger name. So it doesn't get into any of that weird zone where you might get in trouble from copyright situations. That and flipping through name generators can be insanely fun because some of the stuff that comes up is so random or sounds absolutely hilarious. So it can also be fun to just flip through these name generators. I'll link an example of a name generator in the description down below. They're pretty neat. Now, there's more methods than what I just listed here. You can check out way more different resources for coming up with a good cosplay name. But these are just 4 of my personal favorites and the ones that I usually recommend to people when they ask about coming up with a cosplay name. So now that I've given my 4 main pieces of advice when you're coming up with a cosplay name, I'm going to give you some advice on what to avoid when coming up with your cosplay name. First and foremost, I would recommend something too long or too complicated, because that's when people will start to get confused and your name will not become very memorable, or the title that you've chosen is just so long that people just kind of skim over it and don't read it, and therefore again don't remember you very well. You also want to avoid names that are extremely hard to pronounce. Because let's say you're someone who enters in a masquerade and they say your name at the end. If they can't pronounce it, no one will actually know who it was who was just presenting on stage because the MCs keep butchering your name. You don't want that, so you want a name that is reasonably simple to pronounce. If things are easier to pronounce, they're easier to remember, so people will remember you a little better if it's something that they're going to be able to pronounce. You also want to avoid names that are common or likely used a lot. What I mean by that is to use maybe just your favorite color, but in Japanese, for example. A lot of people have done the method of take what you like and put it in Japanese. So therefore there's a lot of names out there with that kind of origin, and there might be a lot of overlap of names. You don't want to use something that's been commonly used already. You want your name to be searchable. You want your name to be something that isn't taken already, or you don't want it to just be a variation of someone else's name already. To go along with that last little piece of advice on what to avoid, you want to avoid copyright issues. So if your name is, for example, Legend of Zelda Fan 01, if you end up becoming a really popular cosplayer, Nintendo might not like your name very much. If you call yourself after a canon character who is copyrighted or trademarked already, you can bump into some legal issues sometimes. Of course, no matter what you choose, make sure it's something that you like. If it's something that truly means a lot to you and no one else has used it yet and it's free and available to use that name. It's your title that you want. So I hope this has been a little bit helpful for those of you who are trying to come up with different methods of coming up with your own cosplay name. If you like this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And also, if you're interested in supporting me, the channel, and some of the things I'm making, I have started a Ko-Fi account, which I'll also link down in the description below. And I'm working towards a new project. It's a secret for now, but I'll announce what it is soon. And I'm trying to reach a specific goal with that. So if you'd like to support me, please go check that out as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.